Do you think at times that the NBA, because we see a lot of these college basketball stars that dominate in March Madness, the Sonogos, the Marquise Noels, the Drew Timmies, and they'll go undrafted. Do you think the NBA team sometimes overthink it with some of these college productive players who are a little bit older?
In all honesty, no. I think the colleges a lot of times don't do the job that they need to do to develop the skills, especially athletically, the things they have to be able to do defensively. The shooting is probably at the top of the umbrella in so many cases. I think you can overthink it like on a Marquise Noel, and because he's such a winner, he's such a competitor, and he's got range. He doesn't play the game at the college 3-point line. He plays the game way beyond the NBA line. So, like, I think a guy like that, there might be some overthinking because I think he's going to be successful, and I think Toronto is a good spot for them, especially with Fred VanVleet being a free agent. But I think the big guys, no, I don't think it's overthinking at all in the sense because they know they're not prepared to come in there and guard not only inside of a possession of a 24-second shot clock with all the different help and recoveries that you have to do, but they're not really able to come out and guard the ball, and they're not able to guard in a switching situation or recover the right way. And then the shooting and the passing become just absolutely paramount if you can't do that against length and against pressure. And then there's other situations where bigs may not have the level of explosiveness to be able to score over length and size. So I think if you don't have a perimeter feel somewhere in your game, like Sanogo's a guy that I thought he'd get drafted because I thought he really improved this year. I thought he improved his feet. I thought he improved his ability in the lane when he caught the ball. He was so easy to trap a year ago. And I think that the UConn team and staff did a good job of making him better. But there's so many others. They just don't have the transferable skills that you've got to have to play night in and night out in the NBA.
Coach, I know you've done a lot of work on this draft and watched a lot of college tape and related it to the pro tape. What's the one pick that you thought, man, that really is the right player for that team?
Well, I think there's 4 teams to me that stood out, and I think they answer that question for you. Then there might be a 5th in the sense. The guy that I think is going to be fantastic, and he's so young, but he can defend at such a high level in the improvement that he made playing in France this year, Bilal Coulibaly, who got drafted, was in the trade and went to the Wizards. So now you had Jordan Poole, who's a high-level scorer, but not really that good defensively, technique-wise or quickness-wise, and you had Bilal, who's going to probably get on the floor for them with the changes that they're making and be an impact guy. Like, I think he'll have a Jalen Williams from Oklahoma City impact this year. So I thought that was a great pick. But I thought Portland did a great job of picking guards. No matter what happens with Damian Lillard, whether he stays, whether he doesn't stay, Scoot Henderson is a good pick. Scoot Henderson, the first year in League Ignite, he played with Jaden Hardy, and he played with Dyson Daniels, so he was off the ball a lot, so I think he fits. I think the kid Rupert is going to be a tremendous defender who they drafted in the 2nd round. I think what Dallas did, I think, got 2 of the top 5 defenders in the draft in Derek Lively from Duke and Omax Prosper from Marquette. So that would probably be my number 1 answer to your question of getting what they needed, getting guys that fit. I love what Charlotte did because they signed a bunch of guys that can score. And then Oklahoma City probably stayed as true to form as anything. They signed a 5th-year guy that's older, that's been through some adversity, in Keontae Johnson from Kansas State, and they signed maybe the best point guard defender in the draft in Cason Wallace.
We're speaking with Tom Crean, ESPN College Basketball Analyst, led Marquette to the Final Four back in 2003. It's interesting because Bilal Coulibaly was the teammate of Victor Wembanyama over in France for that Metropolitans team. But you mentioned Portland, and you liked what they did in the draft. You also mentioned how you liked what the Hornets did. Did you agree with the Hornets taking Brandon Miller at 2 over Scoot Henderson?
Well, I think they've got their reasons. And so it just really comes down to what you want. If Brandon Miller continues to evolve, this is the interesting thing from the recruiting circles. Like, at the beginning of the year, Nick Smith was where Brandon Miller was projection-wise, and Brandon Miller was probably where Nick Smith was. And it flipped. It flipped on the year, and they end up getting them both. Nick Smith he was not healthy all year long, and I think when he came back, as good a job as Eric Musselman did with him, Nick was trying at times to get the whole season back inside of a couple of weeks, and it just doesn't work that way. And Nick is if you watch Nick when Eric Musselman took his team overseas this summer, some of my notes were like he was going to be a top 3 pick in the draft, like no doubt about it. And that was summer basketball with just 10 practices with Eric before anything even happened in the season. So I think with those two guys, and then the guy they got that is going to be really, really good down the road is James Nagy from Barcelona. I mean, he just got done playing for a championship, a very, very tough league in Barcelona. And people will look at his numbers and they won't be impressed. But if they see this guy run, dunk, sprint into help, sprint out of pick and rolls, dunk the ball as quick as he does, run the floor the way that he does, they got a bona fide, legit, modern-day NBA 5 coming in him. So I like what Charlotte did. They could have been fine with Scoot. But the difference in having Ball as your backcourt mate in Scoot with having Shaedon Sharpe and Damian Lillard and Anthony Simons your backcourt mate, Scoot is a long ways away from being an NBA three-point shooter. He's probably better off the catch than he is the dribble. Where those guys can shoot the ball, Shaedon Sharpe got so much better during the year, and it really, really did. That's why I could see why he was an untouchable. But Charlotte needs wings. They need big scoring wings that can change the game, and I think they've got the chance to do that over time, not immediately, because I don't think either one of them guard well enough that they're going to be mainstays on the floor at the end of the game, and Brandon Miller and Nick Smith. But I think those guys are going to be factors for them for a long time. Plus, it gives them great trade assets if they need to do something.
Coach, there's been so much hype about Wemby. What's your realistic projection for him as he enters the league? I mean, there's been really no one like him with this incredible length and his ability to dribble and shoot. But what do you think in terms of the mindset of the Spurs and what to expect from him this year?
Well, I think this is a situation. I mean, he played. I think he could have played in 62 games this year, with every game that they played, and he played in all 62, which puts him ahead of the curve right away coming into the NBA. I don't have any working knowledge on this, but I'd be shocked if he played every game for the Spurs because it's going to take some time. His lower body, what he can do is he can hold you off offensively, and he's so big that he can see right. Well, he can hold you off offensively. What he doesn't like is when you get into him. He doesn't like they just played against Monaco in a 3-game series, and Monaco really went after him physically. They got into his legs. They sealed him. They continued to run into him in pick and roll coverage. The NBA calls it a Gortat, or Steven Adams is really good at this, where you won't just roll for the basket, you'll roll into the defender. And he didn't like that at all. And they had a lot of different variations and angles to get to that. He got a little frustrated with it. I think the key is going to be everybody remembers that this guy is extremely young. But I think lower body strength is going to be key so he can continue to push the ball out. I mean, when you talk about feel of being able to handle the ball, change direction, not charge when he makes a pass, make a pass that maybe others see they're even 6'2", let alone 7'4", he can do that. He keeps the ball high. His quickness of getting the ball up on the rim, I mean, it's unbelievable how quick it is. It's just so effortless. Well, I think he's going to have to deal with the physicality because it's going to become commonplace that you're going to do everything you can do to beat him up. But I think, can he steal baskets and catch and shoots? Can he steal baskets on the baseline, not just the post? And will they he's one of the best offensive rebounders, natural offensive rebounders to come into the NBA in a long time. And if they will force him and push him to do that and not let him become NBA-oriented where he's on the perimeter and the shot goes up and he kind of jogs back, and they really push this guy to keep offensive rebound on the ball, he'll make plays that others can't make.
Go to VSiN.com/subscribe to become a VSiN Pro subscriber today.